People who grew up poor but now have money, what cheap habit do you still can't shake? Before we start, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. I wish you a pleasant viewing experience. Story 1. I still have to justify my purchases. My wife absolutely dislike it, but if I can't truly justify a want purchase, I don't do it. I.e., we are at the mall and I see a shirt I really like, I will debate on it, stew on it, thinking I already have X of shirts, do I really need this? What makes it better than my other shirts? Is the quality better? Does its color go better with my other pants? Does it fit better? Often the answer is no, but I've spent 20 minutes pacing in the mall window, shopping with my wife, debating on a 30 shirt that I don't buy. As an example. Answer, the struggle is real. Can't count the number of times I've gone back and forth over a purchase decision because I have to need it for some reason, as opposed to simply thinking it would be nice to have. I can't just want it. It's got to replace something that's broken or is about to break, or it's got to fulfill a useful function that I can't already do with what I have. Likewise, I can't count the number of times my wife has watched me ruminate endlessly over buying something and is like, dude, you could buy 10 of these every day for a week and the bank account wouldn't even notice. You know you can have nice things, right? Story 2. I won't leave food on my plate. This really doesn't help with weight control, but when you grow up knowing if you don't eat it, that's money party too hard. It's a really hard habit to break. Story 3. Hoarding condiment packets from restaurants like they're precious treasure. Old habits die hard. Story 4. I use stuff until it breaks. I have more than enough money to buy a new TV, but I'm still using my dad's old TV from 20 years ago. It has HD 40 and is a flat screen. No reason to change it, even though I often want a better one. Story 5. I volunteer to do groceries for all my immediate family and my girlfriend's family. They think I'm doing it as a favor, but my main incentive is to get the frequent buyer points so I can get discounts when I do my shop. Story 6. I still save all my grocery bags to use for trash bags and other things. I still buy the cheapest version of things. A lot of generic stuff tastes just as good as name brand. I wear my clothes and shoes until they fall apart. If there's a few things I really want, I will try and find the cheapest version of them and then buy them all over the course of a few months rather than all at once. I cut my juice with water to make it last longer. Story 7. Shopping at places like Ollie's because the giant pint of crushed red peppers there for $1 is just as good as the $4.99 one from Kroger, even if it is expired. Story 2. When the deodorant runs out, but you can still pop the plastic thing out and get the bits left over and rub them into your pits. Story 9. Can't bring myself to buy a new car. I instead spent several thousand to upgrade the stereo and speakers in my 18YO Toyota and installed a backup and dash cams on it. We'll drive for another 2 years at least. Upside is that everyone assumes I'm poor given the age of the car and leaves it and me alone. Story 10. Scraping out the soup can, rinsing it with a little water, and adding that to the pot. I've had soup like twice where it wasn't at least a little watered down. I can afford soup. It's just a habit not to waste any stuck to the sides of the can. Story 11. Trying to go everywhere by walking instead of wasting gas, mending clothing. I don't want to shake those habits though. Story 12. Wasting money on takeout or eating out regularly. I love nice restaurants, but I wait when I'm on vacation to go to those. Story 13. My wife uses Libby, the library app. I think that's everywhere, for books. Basically, you can check out ebooks or audiobooks from the library for free. It's really cool. But she's so used to it that even when a book has a long wait and she really wants to read it, she still won't buy it. We'll go out to a single really expensive meal out, but she won't drop 10 on a book that she'll get hours of enjoyment from. She'll wait months and months until the library copy's available. Although in fairness, she puts like 10 books on request at any given time so that she always has something to read. Story 14. When staying at a hotel that offers a breakfast buffet, I'll eat as much as I can, then assemble a lunch before I leave. Story 15. Working 2 jobs. I have no real need to work either job, but psychologically, I can't kick the fear of not bringing in a stable income. Story 16. I don't throw anything away until it's useless. Example, I still have sneakers that are 25 years old and are my yard sneakers now, not to mention pants and shirts. Story 17. Enjoying cheap food more than expensive food. Sounds weird, but I think a subconscious, oh no, this doesn't seem right, happens when I eat something expensive in a restaurant. Whilst with something cheap, I have that guilty satisfaction. Story 18. For 2 to 3 years during COVID, me and my family were struggling hard. Dad's shop's closed. My brother and I both lost our jobs, and I was just trying to figure out what next. Even now, after the business is doing good and earning well, one cheap habit I just can't shake is still checking prices twice before buying anything, thanks to all those lean days. Guess once you live through tough times, the save every penny mindset just never fully leaves you. Story 19. My wife wasn't poor growing up, but I routinely try to explain to her how valuable her time is, that she shouldn't stress herself out spending 30 shawarma an hour to return something that is worth 5. Answer, preach. This is a hard habit to break. My mom saved every aluminum can, washed them, crushed them, stored them until she had several huge bags of them. This is in a state with no per can refund, and brought them to the metal recycler for cash. I did the same. Then realized I got maybe $4.50 for probably hours of work per big bag. They go in the recycling bin now. Time is priceless. Story 20. Still rinsing out shampoo bottles like extracting liquid gold. Do you do that too, or is it just me? Story 21. Stay at quite fancy hotels for the most part. We'll take bread rolls at Brekkie, get cheese and ham, and that's our lunch snack sorted. I cringe seeing people by the pool who drop crazy lunch prices for burger and chips as they whack on a credit card to live their best life, but be broke AF after it. Story 22. Never have owned a new car, used clothes and shoes until they are no longer usable, stayed in one house, don't upgrade TVs, appliances, etc. Use mobile phones until they stop working or are no longer supported. I often don't order drinks when dining out or getting fast food. I rarely wash my car, fix or get by with duct tape, glue, JB Weld. I've had the same luggage, tote bag, belt, suit tie my entire adult life. I keep the thermostat on the edge of comfortable to save electricity. I still buy the cheap Parmesan. Story 23. I still cut open a tube of toothpaste, lotion, or fill the body wash container with water to get every last drop before opening a new one. Story 24. Beans on toast, jacket potato and beans, and egg and chips are good meals. Also, eat the same meal multiple nights in a row while it's fresh, i.e. make a huge pan of broth and eat it 2 nights running and maybe lunch on the 3rd day. Story 25. I never miss a free food opportunity. I work in a big company, and sometimes my coworkers tell me of meetings that just ended in some room and there's some snacks left. I kind of got a reputation for eating a lot BC if it, but in truth, I don't eat much and often skip meals or eat whatever is cheapest and can keep me alive. Story 26. I still buy cheap clothes and shoes like it's just cloths. How is a t-shirt costing 5-10x more any better? Story 27. I'm super anal about lights being left on, the refrigerator being left open, and doors being left open when the air conditioner heater is on. I have zero issue paying an electric bill every month, but I just can't seem to shake these habits. Story 28. I wash and dry Ziploc bags and reuse them. I also scoop every bit of ketchup, moisturizer, toothpaste, laundry detergent, etc. until I am scraping the surface of the bottom of the container. Story 29. I finish my plate because poor children in Africa would eliminate for this. Don't do this to your kids, folks. Story 30. Goodwill or thrift store shopping. My mom always took us there as kids. I still remember the smell of the toys we played with and the clothes that she made us try on. Hard to let it go. I still find awesome stuff that goes with my character. I love it. Story 31. Sometimes I buy things because they are a bargain. No other reason. Just that I might never be able to afford that again. I'll sneak a peek at what's being put out on the curb to give away, though I have stopped taking it home. I've never owned a new car, only hand-me-downs. I drive them until the monthly average repair cost is more than getting a different car. I'll buy meat from the last day of sale markdowns and freeze it to use later. I empathize with the poor. I buy the homeless or students or interns lunch pretty regularly. Story 32. Working my hardest for the best bonus, just in case one of us loses our job, just in case we get divorced. Story 33. Takeout, leftovers, home cooking, shop best price per item weight, coupon sales, drive auto years and years. Story 34. It will literally not occur to me that I can buy a new replacement for something that technically still works, but is old, gross, busted, taped together, etc. I will just use things until they are unsanitary, falling apart, unsafe, or not fit for purpose. Even cheap things like a plastic kitchen strainer or measuring jug. Story 35. I never buy anything expensive at full price. Cars, TVs, phones, etc. I get the best, but I bargain hunt for the best possible price. Or wait a few months to get something on sale. Story 36, getting the last bit out of the lotion bottle. You'll cut them open, scrap out everything to put in a refillable container. Story 37, consistently budgeting and tracking every dollar spent. Upside is I have caught thousands in erroneous charges, mistakes by companies, etc. We are able, in a sense, to live beyond our means by living below our means due to hard stops on few entertainment spending and the extra cash becoming available by focusing on long-term outcomes instead of short-term wants. I have friends who make way more than me who are jealous of our lifestyle because we didn't overspend on a vanity McMansion or just maintain older vehicles rather than constantly leasing new high-end cars or SUVs. Budgeting and micromanaging funds used to be a survival necessity. Now it's like a superpower that helps nip lifestyle creep in the bud with little to no pain. Story 38. Hoarding stupid shoot. I'm talking about like napkins and ketchup packets from restaurants thinking, I'm gonna eat so darn well in a post-apocalyptic world. Story 39. Cutting cheddar cheese so Tom, you can almost see through it. If my kids can please dad, me into blowing their college funds by going to a theater for a movie, they know darn well we've going to the dollar store across the parking lot for everything they want to eat. Drink. Popcorn excluded, of course, I'm not a sadist. More recently, it's limiting meat to whatever the loss leader is that week. Speaking of which, nailing them back-to-back days, as in last day of old loss leader, and going the next day when corporate makes them change to the new program of meat discount, feels like I won a gray ops battle. Worst was with my oldest two one, especially oldest. I started using the same stupid borderline verbally abusive shoot I learned from the toxic twins eye. Do you know how much that costs? You're a real like it, goddammit. You are going to eat everything on your darn plate and you, or not leaving the table until you do, etc. Isn't ingraining food insecurity concerns aimed unhealthily eating habits that makes kids feel fat because you gave them a adult serving because somewhere in your warped gray matter, subconsciously, you never actually trust that the food won't just empty disappear for a few days? In case anyone's bored, and feels like scolding me like I'm Stalin 2.0. Approximately 10 years ago when I figured out how I ended up with the food and was doing some of the same stupid shoot, I made a conscious decision to stop. I sat oldest three down and gave them a face-to-face apology. You can't just flip a switch. It takes time, but it is doable. Story 40. We weren't dirt poor, but I still wear clothes till they fall apart. I still buy some clothes at thrift stores. I still have my car. Hheap, which is a 2004, I still buy mostly store brand or off-brand groceries. We still cook most all meals and only go out to eat about once every other week. Story 41. Why would I shake them? They're what helped me build wealth. Only a madman would throw out the secret to their success. Story 42. Everything LOL. I'm a nurse. So not exactly rich, but I can splurge from time to time. But don't. My clothes are all 10 years old. Only fill up gas on payday, don't eat out, never been on vacation, don't have TV, drive a beater, wash plastic bags, reuse foil, throw out about a grocery bag a month of trash, groceries are about 30 week, IDK. Grew up without money and nothing has changed and was never really a big consumer. Story 43, wear clothes until holes appear. Keep a small mix and match basic wardrobe. Won't fill up my gas tank past a certain part. Love going to the grocery store in the morning and grabbing manager's special 12 off meat to eat that night or freeze. Story 44. I probably grew up middle class, but my parents were poor. Even though I make six figures plus now, I still can't help but peruse items during garbage day. I like to sell things if they are working and sometimes pick something up to fix and sell later. Story 45. Everything I do is DIY before I attempt to hire a contractor professional. Everything but electrical and plumbing. More so heating than the average sink to let fix or replacement. I don't fudge with that shoot. It makes me feel great having this wealth of knowledge. But in return, I do not value my time as much. I've slowly started to change that mindset with services that give me back time during the day. Doggo poop pickup in the backyard. Cleaners to supplement my wife's cleaning as I do all the cooking. My big thing now is lawn care. I could pay someone to mow an edge, but I'd rather smoke a J and mow every other Saturday morning. Story 46. Cheap clothes. I still like Euro deals from McDonald's. I wear my shoes until water comes in. I dislike spending money on beauty products. Story 47. I watch YouTube or use ChatGPT to fix repair any problems. This has saved me at minimum $50K over the past few years. Story 48. Cars. Took my dad's advice. He was a Depression-era kid and ride them into the ground. A lot of his Depression-era tenets have greatly impacted my life, and our world would be a better place if we followed the simple life he lived. I try not to waste anything and take nothing for granted. Use the toothpaste to the bitter end, wear out my clothes, have a garden, and eat more veg and less meat. Ironically, both my parents called these depression dishes. And be helpful and considerate of others. Ah, the greatest generation. Story 49. The 2 habits my partner still doesn't understand why I do it. Never leaving my plate unfinished and ignoring expiration dates on lots of stuff. If it looks, smells, tastes good, then it's still good. Avas, some things are excluded from this rule. Story 50. I never buy anything brand new. I thrift all my furniture, clothes, and etc. I also can't fathom buying any beauty product that's over 20, or for that matter, anything over 10. Story 51. Standing in an aisle for 10 minutes comparing and thinking about whether to buy the thing for $1.69 or the other one for $1.19 and if the extra 50 cents are really worth it. Story 52. I reuse paper towels, only after just using them to dry clean hands, water down juice, pick up any and every bit of change I find, repair clothing, and jerry-rig broken things because they're still kind of usable. Replacing it would cost XYZ. It drives my partner insane. Story 53. My car has 300K miles. Why would I get a new one? This one is perfect and it'd make next to nothing selling it. Also, coupons and deals. Had a friend who always said coupons make me feel poor. Newsflash, man, you are poor. Story 54. Cutting apart lotions, shampoo, etc. type bottles to not waste a single bit. Also, saving up food scraps for soups. Story 55. Feeling excited about some crazy cheap deals, then spending 5x on something run-of-the-mill, which counteracted the savings easily, but the thrill of a good deal LOL. Story 56. I just don't buy a lot, and when I do, I use whatever it is till it is without function anymore. The phone I am typing on is 7 years old. It is almost to that point, but I am waiting for it to die completely. Story 57. Unless I start immediately sweating once I get in my car, I'll roll the windows down instead of using AC. Story 58. Buying used cars. Bought my first car junior year of high school, 600 Plymouth Velour. Been buying used ever since. Can't imagine spending more on my car than I did for my house. Story 59. Box mac and cheese. I outgrew sugar and sweet things and eat healthy for many meals. But dang, the box mac and cheese still hits. Story 60. I have a hard time justifying any purchase except for food that I always overbuy. If I buy something really nice, I sometimes never touch it afterwards. Egg. Some very good quality drawing paper. Not touched it in over a year. Story 61. Using half of a sheet of paper towels. We have always done this, even when purchasing no-name paper towels. Now we can afford premium paper towels, but my kids and I still rip the select-a-size paper towel sheets into halves or thirds. Story 62. I do exhaustive research on anything I purchase for myself, to the point that if I simply work the same amount of time, I could likely buy 3. Story 63. If I get some kind of new food and it sucks, or I just cook something and it sucks, I'll eat the whole thing to not waste food. Story 64. Getting desserts, soda, or appetizers at a restaurant, or even going out for desserts in general. Friend invited us to Handel's ice cream, and it was like 10 for ice cream that tasted just like the grocery store. Shakes are like 8 at fast food joints. I ain't buying that shoot lol. Story 65. I thrift a lot of my clothes. I came to enjoy the treasure hunt, and it's just hard to pay full price when the quality doesn't make it much better than used. Story 66. Couponing and making meal plans based entirely around what's on a good sale that week. Wearing clothing until it completely falls apart. If there's leftovers, I have them for lunch. If there's no leftovers, coffee and water are lunch. Story 67. Buying manager special meat at Kroger. Mainly boneless, skinless chicken breast, which is 90 of the protein I eat. Story 68. My girlfriend and I live ridiculously comfortable lives, and we buy whatever we want and have a massive emergency fund. She still walks through the house turning off lights like they cost 25 cents a minute to keep on. Story 69. Parking. I don't give a fudge if there's a readily available parking garage right across from where I need to be and parking a half mile away on a residential street with free parking. I didn't have a car for the longest time, BC. I couldn't afford it. Now that I have money, you're telling me I got to pay for the mother fudge, pay for the car taxes, pay the registration fee every year, then pay to insure the mother fudge, pay to fill it with stupid gas, pay my taxes for roads, and then I also have to pay to park the mother fudge? No. Story 70. Still cut my own hair, fix and maintain my own vehicles, wear shoes to complete failure, compare prices, look for items on sale. Story 71. It's habits in my case. I still buy some clothes at the secondhand stores. If I buy new ones, I wear them until they go into the rag bin. I don't waste food. I don't buy on credit. I may charge things, but pay off each month, so there's no fee. I still keep a budget. I don't have cable or AC. I dry clothes on a line or rack. Story 72. Adding water to the spaghetti jar after emptying out the sauce, or any container really I've just emptied out, to get every last bit of it. Story 73. Stealing jumbo rolls of toilet paper from work. I'm talking about those rolls as big as a tire. Haven't paid for TP in years. Story 74. You can browse shopping channels and not needing to buy anything because the old ways work just fine. Story 75. Putting shoot on CCs. My absolute worst habit that will keep me in that weird rich but no area. I just get the why pay now when I can stretch it out. I am significantly better about it, but only because my threshold moved up. Now, if it's like with 500 or more, I use a CC, otherwise cash is king. Story 76. When I go to a restaurant and I eat something I could do at home myself, even if the quality restaurant is better, I'm always calculating how much more expensive the price of that plate is versus how much it would have cost me to buy the ingredients and cooking it myself. Story 77. Wear my shoes until it literally falls off. Holes in them? I'll still wear the shoot out of it until it's no longer acceptable in social environment. I'll find a new use for it if it hasn't fallen apart completely yet. Same with flip-flops. Story 78. I go to the grocery store in the morning because that's when the meat department puts out all the cheap meat. If you wait until everyone is off work, all the best stuff is gone. Story 79. Chef Boyardee is a treat. I don't get a haircut until I look like Captain Caveman. I rarely buy new clothes. Story 80. I don't know about me, but a friend who grew up poor and now earns well don't repays the money he owes people. I think he still thinks people thinks that he is still poor. Story 81. Buying cheap stuff because it's cheap. A full bed set might cost $3,000 for a good mattress, and a good bed frame you will have for 10 years. That's $300 a year. Or spend $1.5K on a crap mattress and cheap bed frame you will probably get sick of and throw out in 5 years. Also costs $300 a year. Or you buy something cheap but then realize it's too shoot and you need to buy the nicer one anyway. Should have just spent a little bit of time and money buying something nicer and not worry about replacing it. That dollar amount scares versus what the real cost of ownership is going to over its entire period of use, as well as the improvement in life you get from spending just a little bit more. Story 82. Our household income is well into 6 figures, but I reuse my sandwich baggies even though a package of 100 only costs $8. I take a sandwich to work 5, sometimes 6 days a week, and I have not bought another package of Ziploc baggies in 5 years. I put the date in Sharpie on the box when we bought it, March 20th, 2020. I only take a new one when the Ziploc part starts to fail. I think the box I'm on has at least 5 more years on it. It drives my wife crazy. Story 83. My wife grew up poor, and it took her a while to stop buying 1 month's supply of toilet paper or laundry detergent or trash bags. We can afford the jumbo pack of the non-perishable thing. It's cheaper. We'll definitely use it before it goes bad, and we don't have to buy any more for a few months. Story 84. I will rip a paper towel in half if I feel the task I need to do does not require a full paper towel. Story 85. Leftover meat and veggies, not necessarily from same meal, goes in my ramen at least once a week. I do eat better ramen, but it's still just ramen from the grocery store. Story 86. I finish every last crumb from food. My husband will throw away cereal when there's a small amount left because it's not enough for a bowl. Story 87. We are both of 6-figure incomes, but everything in our house is secondhand, even our car. Hell, even the kids' clothes. I always find buying new isn't worth it. I also love catching public transport. I grew up taking the bus everywhere. Now I still do the same. Story 88. Skipping meals is the biggest one, and also even though I now live in a nice apartment, I still am embarrassed to have guests over, and I have to panic clean anytime anyone comes over. Story 89. Buying drinks instead of just drinking water out of the tap all the time. Growing up, you only got cans of pop or juice boxes for very special occasions. My partner wants a stocked fridge with cans of Coke, and I shudder at the expense every time. Story 90. Frayed jeans become cut-off jorts, and when the armpits in my t-shirts start to rip, they become sleeveless. Story 91. All of them. I still eat at under a $150 a month budget and never eat out. I don't buy new cars always used for a good deal. All clothes are from a thrift store or the clearance rack. I get most of my furniture from garage sales, refurbished laptops, self-built PCs. Anything I can fix myself, I do. I could go on, but nothing has changed, just not having to worry about if my lights are getting turned off because I chose to eat. Story 92. I still enjoy cheap packet ramen, noodles, and hot white rice with sugar and milk, like cereal. I still buy home brand instead of name brand for most things. I rarely go shopping for clothes and just keep wearing them until I can't anymore. I still find stuff curbside and take it home, just like my old dumpster diving days. I also buy from op shops, Goodwill places. I fix things instead of throwing out and buying new whenever I can. I hoard my money because despite having more than I ever have, I still feel poor in my heart. And I'm afraid someday I'll lose my job or something so best to save all my money for a rainy day and keep living poor. I always buy at the cheapest price if I have to buy anything. I'll research options before any purchase and rarely pay full price. I still use a prepaid SIM card for my phone because why pay for a monthly plan when I can get a 365-day expiry for cheaper? The difference is now I have the few $100 to buy a year-long prepaid SIM up front. I can afford a brand new car, but I still bought a 5-year-old reliable brand used car and will keep it for a decade or two or more. Story 93. Triple thinking before you spend money. Still trying to find anything on sale, knowing exactly what you need for bills for the month. Story 94. 80 of my clothes are nearly 10 years or older. I still buy the majority of my games on sale. I can't eat at a fancy restaurant. Paying the equivalent of 4 to 5 meals for one doesn't sit right. Story 95. Actually buying myself stuff and not listening to that annoying voice in my head telling me you don't deserve this drives my wife crazy. Story 96. I just never go shopping. I act like I have no money at my disposal, and when I do go shopping, I never know what new stores I could buy from my brain. Just knows we don't go in there. Story 97. Buying the cheapest versions of things instead of buying things that are expensive but last forever. Also, I basically wear the same clothes every day for years. I don't go shopping ever. The thought never enters my mind. One day I'll be doing laundry and I'll be like, shoot, half my clothes have holes in them, and I'll go online and order some boxer briefs. Haha. I also do the thing where I buy a new pair of shoes every year or whatever, and then suddenly the ones I was just wearing every day morph into being completely destroyed, LOL. Like, how the hell was wearing those things like that? I make really good money, so being cheap and simple hasn't been the worst thing in the world. Story 98. I eat everything on my plate to not waste food, even though there is now more than enough to eat, and it would be healthier for me to throw the food away. Story 99. Cut my own hair. My mom grew up super poor and always cut everyone in our family's hair. I didn't realize it wasn't normal until I was a teen and made my mom take me to a professional. The cut I got looked exactly the same. After that, I always either cut my own, had friends do it, or signed up for the free trials at salon schools. Granted, I'm a guy and have had the same cut for the last 15 years, a faux hawk. But I don't like the amount of time and money a basic cut costs when I can get a trim in my bathroom in 15 minutes every 3 weeks. Story 100. Still turn off lights if I am not using the room, or open windows to let light in so I do have to turn on the lights. I dislike throwing away leftovers, so repurpose them. Story 101. I buy in bulk. The more money I have, the more bulk. I wait for grocery offers. Phage and butter, 2 examples. I buy good quality things like scent and olive oil and clothes and feel guilty. Story 102. I don't know if this is a poor thing, because other people who are not poor, but I know being poor was one of the cause. I still own the least amount of physical objects I possibly can. We used to move about every 2 years due to landlords not renewing our rental contracts, other things like evictions, etc. So the more you own, the more you needed to do. Till this day, if I started getting too many things, I'll begin purging like I'm gonna move out tomorrow. I own a house. I'm not going anywhere. Story 103. Collecting containers and various boxes from orders and groceries. It's just stupid to pay for any of that stuff when they give you so much suitable material. If you get organized about it, it's amazing. Story 104. Coupon the ever-living hell out of everything and spending an extreme amount of time browsing, like slick deals, and making sure I get the absolute best deal for something I'm buying. Story 105. Comparing everything with its cheaper alternative, i.e., I like Pepsi, but do I really like it 3x more than the generic store brand soda? Pretty purse is $200. Ugly but functional purse is $30. Is it really worth $170 just because it looks nice? Stuff like that, and flights especially. Economy is miserable. Business class is 3x more than economy. And just think of all the other things I could be spending those literal thousands on other than 8 hours of increased comfort. It makes it harder to enjoy luxuries when I know there was a cheaper alternative that I could have picked with similar results. Story 106. I ask my daughter and her wife to wear my jammies in for me. I buy them new, and they wear them for me until they are soft and comfy. I also beg for their jumpers, cardigans, and sweatshirts. I love the lived-in stuff. We are very differently sized, but I love their lived-in clothing. I suppose I just love them. Story 107. Conserve electricity. I avoid having too many lights on and don't like messing with the AC setting or having it too low in the summer or too high in the winter. I pick a temp and it stays at that temp all season. Story 108. Shopping the clearance racks in thrift stores. The thing that irritates me the most is that all the really good cheap food is now so expensive. Things like chicken wings, brisket, short ribs, etc. were cheap. Story 109. I like to do my own repairs. Even though I can afford to have someone else fix my car or take care of my lawn, I'd prefer to do it myself. I've probably saved thousands at this point. I also compare a product based on weight and price. This way I can find something of better value. Not always is buying in bulk a better deal. Story 110. I still shop at clothes shops that I did when I was a student. I'm not cheap, I just can't find any other shops I like. My file, on the other hand, will do anything to save money. Owns a couple of houses and still bin dives for furniture. The whole family are like it. I find it so cringe. They take pride in being cheap and how much money they can squeeze out of things. He's the kind of guy that takes his glasses out to examine the dinner receipt in detail. Story 111. Going skiing as a winter vacation. Flying on vacation is simply not options in my mind, even when we could. Story 112. I find it very difficult to order anything from a menu that's not the cheapest item in that category. Story 113. I have a tendency to buy little things on sale all year to make sure I have little gifts when I need them. Sometimes I just give them to strangers because at one time in my life, when I had nothing, literally, someone did that for me. It meant a lot to me. Story 114. I grew up poor. When my mom immigrated here with me as a toddler, her and my dad split up almost immediately. We spent several years barely surviving. In turn, I have so many habits that I'll probably always live with. I should have shed all these habits. I have had a very successful adult life thus far. I'm now in my mid-40s. I'm married, own a home. 1, I shop deals, comparing prices, coupons, buying stuff on sale, buying bulk on good sales, etc. It pains me to pay full price. 2, wearing clothes for much longer than I should and pretty much only buy to replace. 3, I don't treat myself. It's really hard for me. Like we will be on vacation, and my instinct is to not get an ice cream with my family. My husband often just grabs me one without asking because he doesn't like me not treating myself. 4, I do a lot myself. I don't hire people to do things around the house, and I probably should. 5, I cook almost every meal. I don't even get takeout much because I think it's too expensive. There's probably a lot more my husband can describe. It's gotten better now that we have kids because I don't want them to even think about it. As far as they are concerned, they are living a very nice middle-class life. Story 115. Does it matter how much money I have or how new my current furniture is? My eyes will always focus on a chair, couch, or table that's left on the curb. Story 116. Something I never realized I do until recently. Keep price tag on items, especially clothing, until the very last possible moment. Maybe that dress that made me feel really cute was too much of a splurge. Maybe I can just return it and use the money to buy something more useful. Story 117. I'm a multi-million and I haven't bought new clothes since about 2019 except for socks and underwear. I work from home now, and I just don't even want to do the whole shopping thing of trying on stuff in fitting rooms and all that. Complete waste of time, and clothes are a waste of money. Most of my clothes are in decent condition, but sometimes I'll go grocery shopping in some of my threadbare stuff, and the cashier will proceed, tell me which items are eligible for EBT, food stamps, and which ones aren't until I tell her I'm paying cash. Story 118. I dislike shopping, so I'm wearing same shorts and tees as I did years ago. I also struggle to make large purchases. Get quote on house renos. Never pull the trigger. Story 119. If it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. Every time I go pee and flush, I feel like I'm wasting all the fresh water on the planet. Story 120. I save condiment packets from stores and restaurants to use at home. Just doesn't sit right throwing them away. Story 121. Checking prices and looking for deals even in expensive stores. Even with enough money, the brain automatically thinks frugally and catches every discount. Story 122. Whenever I'm at the grocery store, instead of buying the specific items I want, I end up buying the stuff on sale or discounted instead because it's a better deal. But then when I'm home, I wish I bought the items I planned on buying. Story 123. I use things until they're falling apart. Everything: clothes, shoes, cars, cell phones. I make a very comfortable living but have never been able to shake my economic anxiety. Story 124. I come from a poor refugee family that eventually came to Germany. We had no money left for anything. We had to drink juice in such a way that a quarter of the glass was filled with juice and the rest was filled with water. We were only allowed 1 glass of juice per day. I don't have the regulation thing in me anymore, but to this day, I can't drink juice without water, and I can't drink that amount either. Funnily enough, I like it best this way. Story 125. A lot of the things listed on here is things any person who is smart with money would do, regardless if they're poor or not. Story 126. I still don't buy shoot for myself and wear out all my clothing. Also still buy really cheap food for the house, but I do spoil myself with good food when I'm not eating at home. Story 127. Bring snacks and drinks on vacation or sneak them into movies. I can afford snacks at the hotel and theater, but I can't justify paying for it. I also get a little high, like I pulled one over on a company by sneaking it in. Story 128. I now buy multiples of everything because I am afraid I am going to be poor again. I guess, that's not really what you asked, though. Story 129. Still donate money to people who genuinely need it more. Just a lot less trusting and more careful. Also wanting more money to stop when you get more. Story 130. I still stress more than necessary about whether or not I have enough money to pay all my bills credit card. We have a very healthy savings. We are fine, but the worry never completely goes away. Story 131. For example, not buying a new coffee maker. I am milking my parents' coffee maker from 25 years ago, and it works just fine still. Story 132. Squirreling away any extra cent. And it practically feels criminal making any big purchase, even if it's been planned, discussed, saved for extensively. Story 133. Taking multiple blank, semi-blank pages from old notebooks, printed pages, etc., stapling them together to make a new one for notes and stuff. Story 134. I bulk buy food and hoard it. When I was growing up, my dad got a chest freezer, and on payday, we would go to Sam's Club to buy meat. He'd buy like 5 pounds of hamburger meat and divide it up into 1-pound portions and freeze them. He'd do the same with chicken. Story 135. I still love instant noodles. I go to the Asian market once a month and stock up on all kinds of different ones. Story 136. I just watched some crazy rich bastard in a slick Mercedes convertible raid the dump's hazardous materials area. He filled his trunk with nearly empty paint cans and epoxy, like he had found the Smurf village. Story 137. 1. Store brands except for a few items. 2. Clearance rack first, always. 3. Threatening to cancel services to get a discount on a regular basis. 4. Mentally doing the math anytime I'm getting groceries to see how much the total will be, even though I have plenty of money to cover it. Story 138. I can't throw stuff away. I might be able to use this or need it later. I wear clothes until they fall apart. I still eat SpaghettiOs for lunch. I still shop around to save. I don't replace things until I absolutely have to. I drive an entry-level Toyota Camry. Story 139. I am an absolute price shopper. I am not buying something because I see it. I'm researching and comparing the price elsewhere before I pull the trigger on the purchase. Story 140. Big purchases, like thousands of dollars. Cool, we have the money. Going out to dinner, I still have to pick from the bottom half of the prices. Buying at the store? Oh, IDK 21 is too much for that pack of meat. We should probably just do chicken instead. I should probably cancel Netflix next month and do Apple for a little bit before rotating to Hulu instead of just having them all at the same time. 1,500 isn't too much, but 15 might be. Story 141. Didn't grow up poor, but mom and dad were definitely frugal. In a very good way, IMO. Watering down the end of the shampoo conditioner bottles to get the most out of it was a massive thing. Wearing my brother's hand-me-downs, a girl, and his old toys was another. If I didn't eat dinner Mum had made, Then the only other option was going to bed hungry or having a glass of milk. Finally, we didn't get paid for doing chores. That was just what we had to do because we're a unit and we all work together. I got pocket money from doing dishes in their shop and being a paper girl. Story 142. Buy the store brand version of everything when possible, i.e., Walmart's Great Value, Sam's Club's Members Mark, Amazon's Amazon Basics, etc., etc. Sometimes it's nice to splurge and get the name brand though. Looking at the unit value and price stickers when grocery shopping, whenever available. Basically, it's generally cheaper overall to buy a bigger version of something buy in bulk. Meal prep instead of buying pre-made stuff. It may cost more up front, but it will still save money. Coupons, coupon codes for various stores. Use restaurants' apps for reward points and certain percentages or dollar amounts off if I must go out to eat. Cashback apps websites like Rakuten or Upside. Credit cards with cashback options are great for taking a small percentage off every purchase if you use them responsibly. Please don't go into debt. I've learned this the hard way, but now I'm good. Buying from Amazon, resale refurbished. The items are always basically brand new at maybe $13, the price of brand new. Only filling my car's gas up at Circle K. I get 15 off every time. I don't go to any other station. Sometimes I'll buy a car wash with the gas, and it makes the gas even cheaper per gallon, though I am technically paying more BC of the wash. Hyper-miling in my car is my favorite. Keep a decent, steady speed with cruise control. Accelerate slowly. Decelerate slowly. Keep tires properly inflated with regular balancing rotations and alignments. Basically, drive the speed limit drive like a grandpa, all to achieve maximum MPG, so there's less times at the gas pump. It also helps to have a set of tires designed with low rolling resistance. I let everyone else pass me and waste more gas just to arrive at their destination. 3 minutes sooner, they'll also be the first ones to get a ticket. Of course, if I notice cars building up behind me, I will go faster to keep traffic moving better. And I always stay in the right lane on the interstates, so don't come at me. Story 143. Wash out plastic containers and reuse them as Tupperware. I guess I like the surprise. Is it butter or is it spaghetti? LOL. Story 144. I still love taking public transportation every chance I get. Cars are always faster and ride shares are more convenient, but buses and trains will always have my heart. Story 145. I still buy items on sale even though I really want the full-priced alternative, and then I regret it. So annoying. Story 146. Parking. My husband grew up poor, and when we head into the city for an event, he stresses out about finding parking. I'll say, there's a lot across from the venue, and he'll get upset about how it's 35 and there must be a 20 lot somewhere further. The 15 is so negligible to us. We spend that at Starbucks without thinking. Story 147. Shutting off lights, not leaving anything on that I'm not using. Wearing clothes to fudge out before I toss them. Story 148. Buying used shoot. I literally despise buying new things in some instances. I wouldn't buy an SSD or an undershirt used, but if I had to buy a jacket or sneakers, new I'd be mad lol. Story 149. That I'm going to be poor again and have no money, even though I have probably close to 5 years of emergency reserves. That small $5.50 purchases matter. I still weigh them like I did when I was broke. My clothes and shoes I still wear until there are holes or no grip left on the soles. Story 150. Squeezing every last drop out of bottles and cutting them open to scrap out the very last bit of product. Story 151. I will keep driving my 2004 Honda Econobox until it explodes. So in other words, I'm driving it forever. Story 152. Trying to do things cheap that I shouldn't or don't need to anymore. Water heater broke, need to figure out how to fix it. Or if I have a relative that can car problems, better learn what to do. None of this is bad, but I'm in a position in life I can easily afford a professional for most things and don't need to struggle or rely on hookups from friends to get things done or fixed. But it's very often my default mindset from when I grew up as we didn't have money. My mom was bad with money, and I also had to learn if you can't afford something, maybe you don't need it or need to be doing it versus always finding a way to make it happen. Story 153. I don't think anything has changed. I still wear the same clothes over and over until they fall apart. And when they do, I use them as rags. Buy generic Hheap pluk at prices. Buy the ounce Lowell when I'm shopping. Eat cheap, Michelinas and ramen forever. Use reusable towels instead of paper towels, etc. I like knowing that I don't have to look at my account before I buy something, but I do anyways and will always. Story 154. I was on the brink of homelessness, but as of right now, I keep it simple. I don't need a new phone. I don't need a new nothing. I use the money to have a meal on a restaurant or for drinks now and then, for little things I like and I want to use, for rarely clothes I'd like to wear, but not much and never for bragging about it. Keeping it simple and humble. Money doesn't bring happiness, but makes it easier to achieve. Story 155. Not me, but my sister. As a kid, she'd save all of the paper cores from our toilet tissue rolls. She had a whole box of them hidden under our bed. When my mom asked her why she was saving them, she said, "Just in case I need them," which was heartbreaking because we don't know what they could be used for apart from crafts, but she never used them. Today, she's an executive at a bank and owns her own condo. She still saves the paper cores, and she can't explain why. Story 156. I go to DSW warehouse and buy sneakers in the clearance section. My wife's Brooks, $165 before tax. My Brooks, $65 before tax. Story 157. Eating out. I probably spend money on other unnecessary things, but I've never understood people who wants to eat out takeout multiple times a week. When the money that 2 takeout meals costs would give you twice as much food in the supermarket, I enjoy it maybe once or twice a month, but more than that, I feel like I'm wasting money. Story 158. Buy used clothing and furniture. Most everything in this category I own is secondhand, except shoes, undergarments, and mattresses. Reduce, reuse, recycle. I take care of the things I have for optimal lifespan. If it works for the purpose, I won't replace it. My aesthetic is eclectic, so it all works. Constantly on the lookout for street garbage finds or free shoot people are giving away that I can use now or later. I am not a hoarder, but I do keep things I come upon, friends are getting rid of, that could be useful later. My husband uses free pallets and scrap wood to build things. I regularly go through stuffs to get rid of things I have kept but realize I'll never use. I try to find new homes for things if I can, which creates a loop for future hand-me-downs back to me. Jam jars, cups, and Tupperware for liquids. I'll never, ever have a car payment. Older Toyota or Honda owner for life. I can't even imagine buying a new car. It is so ingrained in me to buy a well-made-to-last used vehicle. I have watched people buy new with a hefty car payment, and less than 1 year later, the car has depreciated over $10K. I will get every single penny out of my car. I also pay in cash for everything. As in, I pay credit for everything to get points, but I pay off my credit cards every single month. I don't do payment plans for anything except my mortgage. If I can't afford to pay it off, I won't be buying it. Story 159. Kraft singles. I know it isn't even food, but the melt is so good. I'm not rich, but I could afford healthier cheese. Story 160. Reusing paper towels and reusing old plastic containers that usually holds margarine or even plastic takeout containers as Tupperware. Story 161. To me, saving money is like making money. I will never be able to spend money unnecessarily and find ways to make things last long. I fix things rather than replace them, form relationships with things out of sentimentality as if my things have spirits, and I wouldn't even want to change this. I value time more than money also, and find ways to learn how to do things independently, always aware of the value in my abilities and the time I'm spending on myself. Story 162. Drink tap water most of the time. I make a pot of coffee every day and a jar of loose bulk tea most days, but otherwise it's tap water. Story 163. I still put water in my shampoo bottle. I compare prices by weight. I use the same shoes until they are pretty much dead. I buy whole, like chicken or salmon, butcher it myself to get the most out of it. Story 164. Pretty much all of them. My car has over 250K miles, still eat ramen, and basically don't care about stuff, but my net worth is eliminated. Story 165. Being thrifty and frugal, even though I can afford it, and then some. For me, it's really hard to spend money when I'm used to having none or saving it. Story 166. Shopping at the thrift store, buying furniture on FB Marketplace, or browse the Buy Nothing site to get items I am in need of. I was poor from birth and spent half my life that way. When I came into money, I planned on ways to help others, instead of just ways to help myself. I still look for sales every time I shop. Story 167. I buy older cars and keep them running. It's basically how I built my savings over the years. New cars, high car payments, higher tax, higher insurance. Story 168. I still only buy like one pair of shoes that I wear daily until they're ratty looking. can't shake the habit like buying one pair for school when I was a kid. Story 169. Old clothes that are too worn out to donate, I cut them into squares and use them as cleaning rags, bringing shoes to a cobbler for repair instead of buying a new one. Story 170. Things we never did at home growing up. My parents never brought things that everybody was buying just because everybody was doing. They used to buy just things that we really need, and now I don't buy a lot of things to keep up with the Joneses and don't follow trendy. In our home, we never had a place in the pantry for snacks and sweets, so when we wanted to eat something for snacks, we would go to the grocery store and buy it, but never had a bunch of them at home when we could eat anytime we wanted. So because I am not crazy for snacks or sweets, we always ate whatever we have on the table, whatever my mom prepared for us. Nobody was picky eater at home, so today I can eat anything. If someone say let's eat rocks, I will probably eat LOL. Story 171. I shop online and occasionally in stores. The first thing I do when I shop for anything is set the sort filter to price, low to high, and that too in the clearance section. Story 172. I don't buy expensive electronics. My first nice TV I bought used from a guy a state away. I can afford it, but the idea of spending thousands on a television is insane to me. Story 173. Waiting for things to go on sale, clearance before buying them, overthinking, and price checking, even minor purchases, not ordering liquor when going out to dinner with friends. Answer. I also have the habit of only buying things in clearance and overthinking any purchase. And I think part of what perpetuates that for me is the internet. Whether I want a cheap but functional or a pricey but better quality version of something, there's always a good chance I'm going to waste my money if I don't pour through dozens of customer reviews, blog posts, and comparison lists. Now that Amazon exists, we can choose from dozens of different brands and models for any product. And unless it's something that I need right then, there's no reason for me to settle for a purchase that I'm not super confident in. Story 174. I'm not sure if this counts, but every time I swipe my card at a register, I tense up waiting for it to decline. Even though I know there's more than enough money to cover it, I also get very uncomfortable purchasing pretty much anything for myself, even if I need it. My husband has had to force me to shop on more than one occasion. Story 175. Hey, I'm getting low on cleaner, detergent, shampoo, etc. Fills bottle with a bit of water and shakes vigorously. Nice Kevin office. Give. Story 176. Reusing things that were not designed to be. Not throwing away clothes that have long since worn out. Coupons galore. Story 177. Feeling terrible every time anyone spends any money on you as a courtesy. Didn't have much to spare growing up, so it always feels like a huge gift to have someone just pay for my meal or something when I'm perfectly able to. Answer. I was still pretty low income when I met my SO for our first date. I was so touchy about not having much money and the stereotype of women using guys for free food on dates that I nearly wrecked my chances with him. He offered to pay for my lunch and I was like, no thank you. I can pay for my own, thanks. No, we've just about made it 10 years, so it turned out okay, but he later confessed that he wondered what the hell was up with me. We had a laugh when I explained. Story 178. I'm not well off, but I am comfortable and can afford more fun. I rarely buy lunch or coffee during the work week. I get an economy car with no frills and drive it until it dies. My current car has been paid off for years, and it's the first time I have had a car with a CD player, and that has windows I don't need to roll up by handle. I still gravitate towards cheap food in the grocery store. I repurpose plastic food containers, and am appalled if my husband throws any out. That tub of butter in the fridge might really be my leftovers, LOL. I feel anxiety seeing food partied too hard. Even a minor purchase can end up being internally debated, and I put it back on the shelf. I threw up in the parking lot after closing on my first house a few months ago because holy shoot, I have never spent that much money in my life. Answer same as this, except a few years older, I think. Wife and I bought some land to build and ended up getting a foreclosed house because obviously in repairing it ourselves, we sold the land for 3 times what we bought it with planning to build and a design. I almost passed out when the lawyer gave us the check. I calced it and know we were doing well, but such a massive check was surreal. We bought a nice steak from Publix to celebrate. Story 179. Never take anything for granted and be grateful for every day you don't have to worry about basic things like food, shelter, water, and toilet paper. Story 180. I'm literally always stressed about money for no good reason. Like my wife spends more than I expected on groceries and I am near a panic attack. Story 181. Didn't grow up poor per se, but my parents did very well to stretch their money as far as they could when I was growing up. I feel like we lived middle-ish class on a lower class salary because of how well they budgeted, washing Ziploc bags and reusing them, shop at Aldi and only go to Publix for BOGOs, and buying a stupid amount of one thing if it's a great price, although my mom says this is more of a rural survival method than anything. Still of the mentality that I need to have a backstock of every grocery item because we lived far away from the store growing up. I now live in the suburbs and live 2 minutes from a grocery store, but my pantry looks like I'm prepping for the apocalypse. Only get water when going out to eat. My truck is 11 years old and I have no plans to upgrade it as long as it keeps running. Seems like other people get a new cars every 5 years or so. My dad's car he still uses is 25 years old, doing everything myself I can instead of hiring professionals. Painting house, car maintenance, cutting my own hair, painting my own nails. Only got my nails done for my own wedding. Answer: my wife and I have been comparison shopping a lot more lately and have found that the produce at Whole Foods is actually cheaper than at Publix, and both are in walking distance. Then time and gas getting to an Aldi mostly negates the savings for us, since it's over a half hour away with traffic. Milk is cheaper at Target, and it's on the way home from work, and there's a restaurant supply near us where we get eggs for around half what they are at Publix because they come in 5 dozen packs. But my wife likes baking, and we otherwise eat a lot of eggs, so they don't go to waste. Story 182. I am so fudge cheap. I can make gallons of soup for 5. I get irrationally annoyed when other people spend money like, why did you spend 3 on a bagel? We still have like 4 in the freezer. At home, I stole from work last July. Yeah, I know we are not going home for another 8 hours, but if you wanted a bagel, we should have brought one with us. Story 183. We're comfortable now, not rich, but definitely not poor. A lot of the habits that I've carried over are what we feel to be smarter ways to live. We still shop sales. I'll rarely pay full retail for anything. Oftentimes won't make a big purchase until I can find it used. Neither of us wear much name brand clothing, except certain shoes which we'll buy because they last longer. We do take vacations now, but oftentimes spend a day or two with family or friends instead of going for a hotel. Aldi is the best thing ever. I think for us, the big changes are that we spend money that saves us money. For instance, this year I bought a few quality tools to make DIY vehicle maintenance and house repairs possible. We bought a greenhouse so that we can grow more of our own food and grow longer through the year. Instead of buying a 10 belt at Goodwill or Target, I spent $45 on a handmade top-grain leather one with a lifetime warranty. Since we live in an area where it's viable, we're looking at installing solar to help offset electricity costs, specifically for the essential things like refrigeration. Answer: totally support the spend money to save money thing. There are plenty of things that I will spend significantly more on to get a high-quality product that will last, especially tools, outdoors gear, and electronics. That being said, you bet your jerk I'm going to pour hours to research into it and still almost never pay full retail. I have found that these investments give a full return and then some. Story 184. Keys, phone, wallet, snack. I'll grab any snacks from home and have a couple of bits of fruit rolling around in my bag in case I get hungry. This used to save me a lot of money and has now become part of my leaving the house routine. Story 185. I still wrap chip bags super tight before putting them in the cupboard and check bowls for dead roaches before using them. It's like I have roach PTSD. Edit. I also still get nervous when reaching for anything from the cabinet above the sink because of the one time I grabbed a roll of paper towels from there and a dead roach fell out and landed on the counter in front of me. Story 186. For the most part, it's the all do-it-yourself kind of habits that I kept. Building stuff, repairing stuff, finding tricks to avoid buying something, cooking what most people just buy. I'm actually pretty proud of it. I can repair my smartphone, build a cool desk, fix any kind of plumbing problems, repair my fridge, keep my computer updated piece by piece, find new ways to use something instead of throwing it, and cook pretty good meals. And my favorite, using someone's trash to make something new. Like turning old furnitures into something I would buy in a store. There's something deeply satisfying about doing it on your own. It requires a bit of imagination, a lot of learning and time, but it's worth it. Answer: yeah, I always do my own brake jobs, change my oil, drop in a new starter or alternator myself. I can do basic household wiring and under-the-sink plumbing. The only guy I pay in the bug guy, in the long run over a year, it is cheaper than buying any traps and stuff like that. And once he sprays, the house is absolutely bug-free until next spring. Better to just pay him $150 a year and not live with sugar ants in my food and spiders in my bed. Story 187. I'll wear clothes until they fall off me. I dislike spending the money on shoes, even though Mine have holes in the soles and mismatched laces. Answer: tip on shoes. I know good dressy shoes are not cheap, but you can often replace the heel's sole on them for $40-$60 and get many more years out of them. Shop off-season sales and look for good quality shoes. Like anything retail, you should be able to save $30-$50 with minimal effort by shopping sales. I've done this for years. Always suggest folks invest in nicer shoes. Your feet and back will thank you. Also, if you get dress shoes, learn how to polish shine them on YouTube. Makes a world of difference in looks. Story 188. Recently bought some pillowcases on clearance and couldn't bring myself to throw away the zip-up plastic bag thing they came in because it struck me as sturdily made and potentially useful. I have a lot of random might use this someday things that most folks would throw away. Answer: I'm both grateful and slightly concerned that one of my housemates is just like me and sees a useful purpose for absolutely anything. I have worked hard over the last few years to weigh the pros and cons of saving something for later, and living with someone who feeds my rationalization isn't likely to help. For reference, I have saved 3 of those plastic zipper bags my pillows came in. They're under my bed, just in case. Story 189. I have a really tough time buying anything if I can't see good value for my money in it. Overpriced things based on their snob appeal hold no interest for me at all, and I very rarely gamble. Story 190. When I get real hungry but don't want to make something, I'll grab a slice of bread and put some barbecue sauce on it, then fold it. Sounds rough. It's amazing. Story 191. Not anymore, but I think it's an interesting story anyway. Few years ago, when I first started dating this girl, this was the first night she spent at my place. In the morning, she casually walked into the kitchen looking for breakfast. I offered what I had, but no bread. Why no bread? I don't eat bread. Why not? You are not gluten intolerant, are you? No, not at all. Then why not? I had to stop and think. It's been years since I bought sliced bread. After thinking for a good minute or two, I remembered. Back when I was a broke college student, I discovered these pitas Middle Eastern shops sell. Used to be 10 for $1. I realized that they fill me up way better. A 99 slice bread loaf will fill me up at most. 3 times, those pitas will do it 10 times. I made a conscious decision to switch to those pitas instead of bread. Years went by. Now those few pennies make no difference to me, but I forgot the reason behind the switch and kept buying the pitas out of habit until someone pointed it out to me. Story 192. Eating any and all leftovers until they are completely gone, never wasting any food. I also had to learn that it wasn't normal for a parent to force their child to eat whatever was on the plate, whether or not the child liked it. I also reuse things like yogurt containers, plastic cutlery, etc., until they're unusable. Answer: eat whatever was on the plate. I sure as hell grew up that way. But my parents and grandparents all lived through the Depression. No way is food waste allowed. Granted, we had some discretion as to what went on our plate, so it wasn't really bad. And being fairly poor, father lost jobs like mad, not to mention the house that my grandfather had built. There wasn't a particular abundance of food anyhow. Story 193. I grew up in a single-parent household and on a fixed income. I didn't get my first name brand pair of shoes until I was 18. I basically have 3 pairs of shoes: work, fancy, and running shoes. I just don't see why anyone would need so many pair of shoes. Answer: I double up when there is a sale. 2 pairs for $50 is better than $65 for 1. This means I have a few extras kicking around, but when a pair gets worn, I just reach into the closet and there is another waiting for me. Also, discontinued styles. Some manufacturers discontinue shoes in 6 months, so if you have a favorite, it pays to stock up, or else you have nothing. Story 194. Perhaps not a habit, but more of a realization for me that there is such a thing as having too much money for any one person to have. I've grown up really poor, but now I'm doing okay money-wise to the point that I donate a lot of money to charity, and I enjoy paying it forward and volunteering to help to others who need it. Then again, my version of being content will differ from others. Story 195. My dad grew up pretty poor. Parents were first-gen immigrants and owned a small market in a blue-collar town. And while our family is well off now, he still doesn't buy himself anything unless he really feels like he needs it. Didn't get a cell phone until he was 60, and it was actually for work, used the same box TV until the coloring was totally off, and my mom ended up buying a new one, etc. A lot of the meals or snacks he made for us growing up were really cheap because he loves them, and so did we. Fried Spam, scrambled eggs and hot dogs, bologna and cream cheese, just stuff like that. That being said, he also makes delicious Macedonian food that his mom would make. Pays for mine and my siblings' schooling and makes sure that we are happy and healthy. Answer. My parents grew up during the Depression. Both their families struggled to put food on the table. Dad and Mom worked hard, scrimped and saved and retired very well off. Dad is gone. Mom is 91 and still lives on her own. She could buy anything she wants. Once every 3 months, I put gas in her car. She drives to church and the grocery store, but every time she needs gas, she has clipped out the coupon from the paper to save 5 cents a gallon. Also, her everyday sweatshirt that she wears to do yard work is at least 50 years old. Thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. If you'd like to see more content like this, you might be interested to know that I've created another channel with a similar theme, especially for those of you who enjoy what I do. I'll leave a link in the description, and I hope to see you there. Take care.